Saudi storyline. Our weekly will they, won't they? Our weekly Phil Mickelson conversation, because Phil has indeed applied for a LIV Golf exemption. Remember that we were talking about how there was a deadline for PGA Tour players to request an exemption from the PGA Tour to go over and play the first event on the LIV Golf Invitational. And he's also kept his name in that hat for the PGA Championship, the U.S. Open. Coach, where do you want to start? You want to talk about him defending his crown at the PGA, or you want to talk about what might be going on across the pond?
I think you have to start with B before you can start talking about A.
And
much like KP right now, my give a damn about this is very, very, very small. Because at this point, it's almost like Phil's on an island by himself. And we knew these days were coming. We knew the names would come. We knew the exemptions would try to be had. I actually kind of feel bad for Phil at this point. I really, really do. And that may sound weird because he's done this to himself. But to see somebody, and I've worked with a few people in television that have done this, that literally had the red carpet out in front of them. The next 20 years could have been just enjoying it, making tens of millions of dollars. And then for Phil to try to do this, where now he's setting the table for a legal wrangling that if the PGA Tour tells him, hey, you can't come, well, I put in for exemption, and I'm trying to do it the right way. Phil's trying to paint the picture he's doing it the right way. To me, it's already gone. He already screwed this whole thing up. So at this point, he's going to be out here on an island by himself. I would be shocked to see him play the PGA Championship and the U.S. Open. But I've been shocked before.
The statement from Phil Mickelson's team, and I quote, Phil currently has no concrete plans on when and where he will play. Any actions taken are in no way a reflection of a final decision made, but rather to keep all options open, end quote. Mark, that might be from his agent. It sounds like it's from his lawyer. That's a great non-answer.
Well, when you're a professional, you learn how to give those things where you say a whole bunch, but when you really consider what they've said, there's nothing really concrete, to use a word of Phil's there. Look, to me, this is no real news. You knew he was in bed with the guys after the comments he made, whenever it was. So the fact that he's playing in the first one, that's not too big a deal for me. I'm interested to see what comes to fruition with the event in the United States. I believe it's the second one on the calendar, KP. It might be Portland or somewhere like that. So this one in London, I mean, most folks can file a waiver and go and play overseas. That's what PGA Tour players do. And everyone's entitled to do that sort of thing. I'm keen to see how this whole lot shakes down when it comes stateside. And there are events over here in the United States, basically in the PGA Tour's back garden. So when I wasn't awfully surprised when I saw this. We'd had a lot of conversations in the TV compound about whether Phil would come and defend the title at the PGA. And I was one of a select few that thought he would. A lot of folks would sort of thought that he would remain in hiding and such, but I don't know. There's a whole lot of stuff behind the scenes that is all conjecture, and not all of us know really what's going on. I just know there's a rival league, and Phil is amongst a few guys is committed essentially to them. And so now he's got to stand up and he's got to be a man of his word, basically, and that's what he's doing, in my opinion.
The timing's kind of interesting here, KP, because the PGA Championship, where he will maybe defend his title, is May 19th. May 19th sounds like it's far away. It's 3 weeks away. That's how far out we are. And then this first LIV Golf Invitational event is June 9th. So I suppose in theory, if he does end up burning the PGA Tour bridge, he could, if he wanted to, defend in May, leave in June, and then who knows when all hell breaks loose after that. But the timing of this, it's kind of really key to what we're going to see from Phil over the next couple of weeks and months. Yeah,
I've got a lot of. I think this is super intriguing, and I think that. I mean, so Mark just said like he doesn't really care if Phil plays in the June in the London event, but I think that, in which I don't know that I do either, but I think the interesting part about that is those guys aren't going to get exemptions, right? Like the tour is not going to tell like when you go play a European tour or whatever the other tours, you get an exemption and you go play. They did it even for the Saudi International. They did the quid pro quo where you got to play in the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. But they're not going to grant exemptions for this, are they?
I believe they will. I speak under correction, Kyle, but a player is allowed a certain number of requests for waivers to play abroad, and that is accepted PGA Tour policy. I obviously speak under correction.
But you think Jay Monahan will say, yeah, I'm fine if you guys go play in Greg Norman's league?
Well, again, it's way above my pay grade. I'm just looking at the PGA Tour by rules and bylaws and stuff, and they're pretty, solid about staying to those. That's how I'm basing my argument.
I would be shocked if they got exemptions to go play in that, because correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, hasn't Monahan said, like, if you go play on that tour, you can never play on the PGA Tour again?
So they was it before Riviera when they did like the all hands meeting? That was what the quotes that we got out of it was, right? Jay Monahan has never said that in public, but through players and what the message has been passed along, that was the message.
And he's had a little of that at the Players Championship when he opened up and said, like, he, like you said, I don't know that he said it directly, but I think so. I think a couple of things. I think one, I think there's a scenario in which Phil tries to play the majors and also play the LIV Golf Invitational Series as his like primary tour instead of the PGA Tour. And then I think the other thing that might happen is Phil might be, we've talked all along how this is going to come to like some sort of litigation between the PGA Tour and LIV Golf. And I think Phil might be the person, leave it to Phil to push something into litigation. I think Phil might be high profile enough of a case where if he does try to do both at some point in the future, where he tries to play the LIV Golf and the PGA Tour, that he might be the person that pushes it into like those leagues suing each other or whatever. And then who knows what takes place after that. But I in a lot of ways, like, he's probably not going to be the best player that commits to that tournament, but he'll certainly be the most high profile one. And I think he'll be a linchpin for like how those two tours interact into the future. And I think that's really, really interesting.
Hey, Cal, I'm very much with you there. And I just wanted to add to this. I've thought about it a little this morning when I saw the news, obviously. And I have a feeling that Phil is running cover for a few of the American folks that are interested in going to play. So that's also why Phil made the statement. Now, look, the deadlines for the PGA in the USA were, I think, yesterday. So you had to commit to those. That was the logistics of it all. But I feel like this move and coming out with a statement is sort of just saying, all right, guys, I'm going to be the tip of the spear. I'm going to take all the headwind. I'm the guy who's been sort of persona non grata on the tour. I didn't play the Masters. I'm essentially the guy that everyone's going after right now. So I'll continue to do this, and you guys come and support us and play and just sort of get under my wing and stay in behind me. I'll take all of the grief for it. So I think there's a little bit of that stuff that Phil's doing for the potential, I don't know, maybe Xander Schauffele's of the world. So that's some thought. That's the thought I've given it to.
I think what's going to be, I was talking with a friend about this at lunch today, and Phil's exempt for all the majors. He doesn't have to qualify for the next. Well, he doesn't ever have to qualify for the Masters. How long is he exempt for the U.S. Open, Rick? 5, 7, 10? 5.
There's 5 for all now. It's no more 10. No more 10.
So he's one of the guys that doesn't really need the PGA Tour to depending on like how like some guys might say, well, I need to play on the PGA Tour because I need to qualify for the majors or whatever. Phil doesn't need that. So he could just say, like, I'm out PGA Tour. I'm going to go play the LIV Golf and then kind of dare the majors to ban him from playing in the major championships. And I don't know that they would. I don't know that they would do that. I mean, is the PGA going to ban Phil from playing the PGA Championship because he's playing the LIV Golf instead of the PGA Tour? I just don't know that that's going to play out. I think that part of it is also like, there's just a bunch of different ways that this could go. And Phil is kind of the like the primary character leading all of them, which is crazy.
Just one more thing to that. I hear your point, but I just again want to offer the International Golf Federation is real. It's kind of like NATO, if you will, and all the governing bodies and the PGA, all the respective tours of the world, they are in this federation and they pretty much stick together. And the PGA Tour has a big say so. The Masters Club has a big say so. Obviously, the RNA and the USGA and the PGA. So I'm not certain that one of those organizations are going to break rank. I really am not. But again, like Coach said, I'm prepared to be proved wrong. But at the outset, from what I know, having had my father, who was the commissioner of the South African Sunshine Tour, he's been at these meetings, and so these unions, these organizations are pretty tight under that umbrella.
Well, we did have a LIV Golf spokesperson confirm Monday, Coach, or at least tease Monday what a field could look like. He says the first event will feature 15 of the top 100 players in the world. Kind of depends on where in that 100 you find them. It's a 48-person field with $20 million up for grabs, and the winner will cash a cool $4 million.
They've been very, very strategic about when they've come out with these things, and I'll give them credit for that, because they also said that their year end was going to be this incredible team event with $16 million to the winners, right? And that was the day after the team event on the PGA Tour. I don't think that was a big surprise why they did it then. Here's the good part that's going to come out of this. And I like to compare, because Saudi is the common denominator here with WWE. And when you have independent contractors, golfers are, wrestlers are, and you start to press them on it, what the WWE just did is what Phil's been complaining about for months. And I had my partner, Susie Whaley, former president of the PGA of America, was my partner this past week. And there's a lot of things I didn't know. And I didn't know that if you want to hire a player and use them for digital rights, you've got to pay to get a player and use them. Okay. And so the wrestlers couldn't do TikTok. They couldn't do cameos. They couldn't make any of this extra money because the WWE owned their rights. It's the same with the players. That could lead to them softening, because Vince McMahon just did it for the wrestlers. Now they can do whatever they want as long as they wrestle for him in the United States and not go to someplace else. So that could be the same way with the PGA Tour. Now, when it comes to this, they got to be very, very strategic about who they put their money behind, who they promote, because the money's one thing, but you still need some star power, and you got to have more than one player. So I'm going to be interested to see when a concrete player comes out and not just asks for an exemption, but actually says, I'm playing in this league. I'll be interested if there's anybody inside the top 60. I would be surprised if there's anybody inside the top 60 that says yes.
3 weeks out from the PGA Championship, 6-ish from the first event on the LIV Golf Invitational. So I assume we will, Mark, find out more.
Yeah, I want to just for a second and just pitch the panel here a few names. I was going down the official World Golf ranking, sort of from 1 through 100, and I circled a few that I thought might be potential, players out there in the on the LIV Golf League, and I'll toss them to you. Abraham Ancer, Louis Oosthuizen, those are the two highest ranks. Tyrrell Hatton, Matthew Fitzpatrick, Paul Casey, Jason Kokrak, Patrick Reed, Thomas Peters, Harold Varner III, Adam Scott, Sergio, Richard Bland, and then you get Phil. Those are guys that are ranked before Phil, who I think is like 51st or 2nd as we currently speak. So what say you guys?
Yeah, throw Bubba in there.
Bubba's down the ranks, some behind Sean Norris from South Africa. I'll tell you this, the South Africans who down the ranking in the World Golf rank, but inside the top 100, and I'm embarrassed to say, because, these are my country people, for the money, and as you convert it to South African rands, they will all go. The Dean Burmisters, the Sean Norrises. Hell, I spoke with Garrick Higo the other evening, but I didn't ask him. But those sorts of players, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they go for that guarantee.
Now, I don't want to read too much into anything, but I saw a picture yesterday on social media, and who was one of the guys that Mark just named that was at a Pro-Am yesterday playing Big Cheesy Smile that bailed out of the Masters with an injury, and we haven't seen him since. Louis Oosthuizen. But he was in a golf tournament Monday playing. And I'm not saying that he wasn't hurt. I'm not saying that. But when you read into certain things and then you start to put two and two together, who knows?
I didn't mention Xander Schauffele, but he's played in Saudi. And then Kevin Na, of course, had the logo on his Carl, it was at the Masters. We had the logo on the collar of the shirt, right?
Yeah.
Him and your boy Gary Player both had it on there.
Oh yeah, right at the first tee shot. Wow. But I guess
those
it's check.
guys. Yeah, those guys are gone. Kevin Na, Jason Kokrak, probably Bubba. I mean, Lee Westwood. They're gone. And we've talked about that before, KP. Kind of the older Europeans who have already played in the Saudi International, whatever that event is called. Like that's the target. That's the target.
Yeah, well, look, this is obviously conjecture, and as I look down the list, I mean, I hadn't mentioned Bubba, Westwood, Poulter is down the list a little bit over there too. He's a contender. Matt Kuchar, I have high respect for Cooch, but these sort of guys that are into their late 40s, that if they play well in tour events, they sort of get inside of the top 20, top 15 perhaps. For them to take the guarantee and sort of pad the bank balance a little bit is a good deal.
Kuchar won't go because 10% caddy fee on $4 million is too much for him to swallow.
Wow. That was good, Rick. Okay, I've got who is this? Jacksonville.com, the Florida Times Union. This is from March. This is from February. Monahan met with players at a mandatory meeting on Tuesday at PGA National. According to a player who attended the meeting, Monahan, when asked what would happen if a player signed up with the Saudis, quote unquote, pointed to the door. We knew what he meant. So essentially like, peace out.
Right.
Which was what I was referencing earlier. Listen, like this summer's going to be, it's going to be interesting. Are we going to cover this? Like, and I don't mean this like, I'm kind of, this is kind of tongue in cheek, but like, are we going to talk about the LIV Golf Invitational series on the First Cut podcast? Are we going to preview those events? Am I going to write about them? Are they going to be on TV?
I mean, Kyle, I've had people say to me, what is the difference? And this is just a question I will pose of HV3 and these guys playing in a one-off event and just playing in 8 events. What's the difference? I've had people ask me that.
And I think that the thing that this league has going for it is that like people don't even know the difference between the PGA Tour and the PGA of America. Yeah. And so like wherever the players are is where people will watch. But my question is like, is it even gonna like, can you watch it? So is Greg Norman gonna be holding an iPhone up to the like 17th green out there so people can stream it on Facebook Live or something? Like what's the plan?
Somebody will air it. So the one thing we do know, live sports is king. Advertisers only want to go to live sports, and they don't care what the live sport is. And Fox might pick it up. You could have a streaming service pick it up. Somebody's going to pick this up.
Yeah, but I have to feel though, Coach, if people do a little research, to Kyle's point, because most folks don't know the difference between the PGA and the PGA Tour. But I feel like when you start hearing Saudi Arabia in the background, then potential sponsors or networks and stuff, it starts to get a little fuzzy over there. And when you have that specter looming on the horizon, the network executives will just not be interested whatsoever, because that could taint, big money spinning television shows and stuff like that. So I question the networks becoming involved.
I will just say this, that the Peacock network, which is NBC, they show every single WWE show in Saudi Arabia, and it's 2 a year.
Okay.
It's on NBC on Peacock.
I think the difference here will be that there won't be enough big stars to justify it at the beginning.
I agree with that.
The risk reward will be just not. The reward will not be great enough for that risk, I think. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's going to be. I think Phil is. He's such a the thing that this all like, not that it hinges on, but he's just going to be the leader out there, like stirring things up. And I still go back to when he issued his apology a couple of months ago. He never said like, I'm fully committed to the PGA Tour. He never even mentioned the tour. Right. And I just don't think that I think he's going to play in the LIV Golf series, and then also try and play in the majors. And I think he's gonna. I don't think they're gonna ban him. I don't think they're gonna push him away. I think he's gonna be able to do both. That maybe not, but that's just kind of what my feeling is right now.